How are we doing, everyone? I was not planning on doing an upload today, but we received some great news that came out earlier this morning from the Chicago Bulls PR that Patrick Williams, after being out of the lineup since October 28th, only the fifth game into the season, will be making his return to the lineup tomorrow night against the Raptors at the United Center. And the reason I say this is great news, because I know some people will say, well, we shouldn't really expect that much from Patrick Williams. Like, this is a guy who has been out for nearly 6 months, and even in the 5 games in which he did play this season, he didn't look amazing or anything. Like, he wasn't as aggressive as you would like to see for him on offense, and his defense was solid, but it wasn't incredible. But I think the thing that you have to keep in mind is that Patrick was coming off an injury before the start of the season. If you remember, he missed most of the preseason, only playing in the final game of the preseason. But the reason I think this is actually a bigger win for the Bulls than most people think it is, one, it was initially thought that Patrick was going to miss the entire season when he initially got injured. So the fact that he's able to come back and get some games under him heading into the playoffs is great for his overall conditioning, experience, and development. Second, not sure if you guys have been watching the Bulls recently, but they're slumping like crazy. A big piece of that is because of their lack of size and defense. Patrick Williams gives the Bulls some much needed depth at the 4. Like, literally, the Bulls have zero depth at the 4 when you're starting Javonte Green at 6'4" at power forward, which, don't get me wrong, Javonte has really stepped up well in that role. I love Javonte Green and his hustle and how he plays much bigger than his actual size. But aside from Javonte Green, who else do the Bulls have at the 4? Other than having Tristan Thompson playing it occasionally to give the Bulls more size against bigger teams, in which Billy Donovan has played both Vucevic and Tristan Thompson together on the court, which we have seen hasn't really worked out all that well for them. We've seen Alex Caruso play the 4 a bit, Derrick Jones Jr., and then, of course, Malcolm Hill or Alfonso McKinney before he got waived. So purely for the fact that Patrick Williams is a true power forward and the fact that he's a great defender, that in and of itself is something the Bulls desperately needed, even if Patrick Williams is playing limited minutes or coming off the bench, which is most likely going to be the case based on what Billy Donovan has communicated earlier, that he doesn't simply want to reinsert Patrick into the starting lineup given how much time he has missed, given he's still just a second-year player. Like, I'm sure it's going to be a week or two before we see Patrick ramp up to the minutes that we used to see from him. And then finally, the other reason this is great for the Bulls is also just the fact that Patrick Williams and his general development is very critical. You're talking about a 20-year-old second-year player who was robbed of his sophomore season because of a flagrant foul, and a player that the Bulls had high hopes for this season as the former number 4 overall pick. To have him come back, even if it only is for the remaining 12 games and playoff games rather than missing the whole season, is huge for his confidence, his experience to actually get some playoff experience instead of missing an entire 12 months of basketball when you factor in when he got injured, and then of course going through an entire offseason before actually returning. So I was really pleased to hear this news about Patrick Williams and making his return tomorrow, especially when Billy Donovan said that him coming back on Monday was going to be a stretch. And also the fact that Lonzo Ball's return has been delayed, which is a big blow to the Bulls. So to have that counter with the return of Patrick Williams is a positive piece in the right direction to give the Bulls some added defense, added size and strength, and just another step closer to the Bulls getting fully healthy as they head into the playoffs, especially in a critical week that is coming up for the Bulls when fighting for playoff positioning in these final weeks of the season. I'll have my weekly preview video out tomorrow morning, so be on the lookout for that, and make sure you tune into tomorrow's game to see Patrick's return. In the meantime, as always, be sure to subscribe if you're a Bulls fan, as I do post daily Bulls content. Thanks again for tuning in, guys, and I will catch you in the next one.